Hello everyone. Have you ever been in this situation? At the start of the year, you make a bunch of plans for the year, like running to exercise, going to the gym to get a six-pack, or studying English to get an IELTS score of 7.0, or maybe doubling your income in the next year. These goals are written down in great detail with specific timelines, locations, and even posted on Facebook for everyone to see. But then, what happens in the end? At the end of the year, you look back and realize you haven't accomplished any of the goals you set. Then the next year comes, and you set goals again, only to leave them unachieved. Last year, at the start of 2023, I set a goal to start a new YouTube channel, but I didn't get it done. I made all sorts of excuses, like not knowing how to use the software, not knowing how to write scripts, or even how to record audio. So it took me a year and a half to finally get started. And I also had a plan to learn a new musical instrument, like the piano, but I haven't done that either. I realized that this isn't just my issue, but something most people face. So one question arises. Why is it that we set goals, and even though we know achieving them would be great, and we understand their meaning and benefits, we don't act on them? It all comes down to one word: laziness. There's a saying I made up for myself. I don't fail to achieve my goals because I'm stupid, but because I'm lazy. Let me tell you a story about my laziness. I signed up for a marathon. Now, I'm not someone who exercises regularly, especially not running. Although I know it's good for my body, since I work at a desk and spend a lot of time in front of a computer. Sitting too much gives me back, neck, and shoulder pains, and I know that running helps improve blood circulation, which could reduce or eliminate these symptoms, even with just a little running. With that belief, I decided to start running, and the peak of my belief was when I signed up for a marathon with a distance of 42 kilometers after 6 months of training. Yes, 42 kilometers. Not only did I register, but I also paid for the entry fee and got the race bib, running shirt, and everything. That shows just how determined I was at that moment. I thought to myself, running? 42 kilometers? Easy. I even imagined myself standing on the podium receiving a medal. That's how confident I was. Okay, so I started running. The first day, 3 kilometers seemed easy. On the second day, 5 kilometers, my legs started hurting. On the third day, I could only run 2 kilometers because my legs hurt too much. Then it rained for the next 2 days, so I used that as an excuse to not run, and then I just stopped altogether. That was the end of my marathon dream. Here's another example I think most people can relate to: setting a goal to study English to get a TOEIC or IELTS certificate. The goal is clear: TOEIC 700, 800, or IELTS 6.0 by the end of the year. But after just 1 week, the difficulties pile up. You read a conversation, but don't understand key words and have to look them up in the dictionary. You listen to a few sentences and start yawning, feeling sleepy because you don't understand anything. After 1 week, most people will quit. Even if you sign up for a course at an English center, you'll see that the class starts with 15 to 20 students. But by the end of the course, how many are left? Maybe 2 to 3 people. And that's when you've already dropped out. I did some research and found that the reason for this laziness and quitting lies in the biological nature of our brains. It's the brain's fault, not yours. The brain makes up only 2% of our body weight, but it consumes a large amount of energy, up to 20% of the body's daily energy. Because of this, the brain automatically chooses the least energy-consuming methods to process information and solve problems in order to save energy for more essential activities. Activities like studying or exercising require the brain to use more energy for calculations, memory, and enduring the fatigue of other organs. For example, when we run, our legs constantly send signals to the brain saying, "I'm tired, let me stop." And the brain has to resist, saying, "Not yet, just finish this lap." Then the lungs say, "Stop, I can't breathe." The tongue says, "I'm thirsty." And the heart says, "I'm beating too fast." The brain receives all these signals and sends instructions back, consuming a lot of energy, which leads to stress and frustration. A second factor of the brain is the reward system. Our brains tend to seek activities or thoughts that bring quick comfort and rewards. This comfort provides a reward in the form of dopamine. When we do something that brings joy or satisfaction, dopamine levels rise, making us feel fulfilled and motivating us to repeat that behavior. This is most evident when playing video games, especially when you win a round and you feel fantastic, like you're the top player, and you keep playing, leading to game addiction. In fact, it's not the game you're addicted to, but the dopamine. All other addictions stem from dopamine too. So, what does dopamine have to do with laziness? It's simple. Our brain doesn't receive enough dopamine when we study or exercise, compared to playing games or scrolling through TikTok. After completing a task, if our brain doesn't get a reward, it loses interest in doing that task. That's why you may or may not enjoy doing certain things. Okay, so now we understand the cause of laziness. How can we improve? Based on my own experiences of laziness and quitting, as well as the two factors mentioned above, I've found two key points. First, we often set goals that are too far beyond our capabilities. For example, I run 3 to 5 kilometers a day, but expect to suddenly run a 42-kilometer marathon. It's impossible. The brain doesn't get a reward for completing 5 kilometers because it only gets the reward when I finish 42 kilometers and receive a medal. But achieving that requires too much effort from both the body and the brain, so it gives up. Similarly, aiming for a TOEIC score of 800 is too much when you're only at 300 to 400 points, and reaching 800 takes a long time. If the brain doesn't see any benefit during that time, it will find ways to avoid doing that work. Second, we haven't set small milestones along the way to reward the brain. For example, celebrating milestones of 5, 10, 12, 21 kilometers, or setting goals of 300, 400, 500 points in studying. Or the feeling of satisfaction when your friends admire you, come to ask for your help, giving you a sense of pride. That's a way to reward the brain with dopamine in stages. Another example, let's say you're working on a project and your boss says, "Just work on it. I'll give you a $50,000 bonus at the end of the year." But with 10 months to go and slow salary payments, where's your motivation? As the saying goes, a penny earned is worth more than a fortune promised. Instead of giving one big bonus at the end of the project, it's better to break it into smaller rewards. That way, you'll be motivated and might even finish ahead of schedule. The brain works similarly. So, to overcome laziness or quitting, try setting reasonable goals. Not too easy, because if it's too easy, the brain won't feel rewarded. For example, if you're at 5 points, aim for 7 to 8 points, not 5.5, because there won't be any excitement. And second, break your goals into small milestones so that when you reach them, you get immediate satisfaction. Additionally, you can apply a method I call getting your foot in the door, which means telling yourself, "I'll just do a little." For example, when it comes to running, tell yourself, "I'll just put on my shoes and go for a jog." Or when studying, tell yourself, "I'll just learn 2 out of 10 new words." This method helped me finish this video after a morning of scrolling through TikTok. Maybe I'll go deeper into this in another video. What do you think? Do you struggle with laziness and quitting like I do? Let's make a change so that tomorrow we can be a better version of ourselves than we are today. Thank you for watching the video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. And now, goodbye, and see you in the next video.